Taxi is the aircraft operated by Hurricane 501 from Duxford, as the name of the operator suggests, an aeroplane that flew with number 501 squadron during the Battle of Britain. It's allocated to languages on the 19th of September 1914. First operational sortie at Kenley was just 5 days later. On only its 7th mission, the aircraft was shot down over Kent by Messerschmitt. 2 on the 15th of September 1940 as part of the Duxford wing. On that sortie, Tropic was shot down over Essex and killed. Kowalski survived the war, stayed in the RAF until 1947, made a new life in the post-war closing days of the Battle of France. It flew several operational sorties from different sites in France, including Eschnin, 73 Squadron's main advanced airfield northwest of Troyes. They then left France, came back to the UK when France was officially deemed to have begun on the 12th of July. Then nosed over in a landing mishap and needed repair. It was allocated in September to number 32 Squadron, by then at Acklington, flying North Sea patrols, but seeing no further combat. Its final RAF assignment was to an operational training unit before its RAF career ended, but it then went to the Soviet Union and flew with the Soviet Air Force, one of the Hurricanes supplied to them under Lend-Lease. Much later, the wreckage was recovered on the 24th of July to the 16th of October 1940, shooting down 6 enemy aircraft. And that's believed that Hurricane was a sole airworthy aeroplane that flew in both the Battle of France and the Battle of Britain. We have Hurricane. Operation Dynamo at Dunkirk evacuation. It was involved in the Dynamo patrol near Dunkirk when it was attacked on the 31st of May 1940 and hit by a Messerschmitt Bf-109. It crash landed on the Dunkirk beach. The wreckage was subjected to a long rebuild. Today it's part of the fighter aviation engineering. Subject to an outstanding restoration to airworthy condition when it was in the ownership of Czech. Today operated by James Brown of Hurricane Heritage. 3717, another Battle of Britain veteran, this time with number 253 Squadron. An aeroplane flown most notably by a Polish pilot officer WMC Samorinsky, and it shot down in his hands a Hawker Hurricane.
Our squadron was going towards Southampton on patrol at 15,000 feet when I saw 3 Junkers 88 bombers about 4 miles away flying across our bows. I reported this to our squadron leader, and he replied, "Go after them with your section." So I led my section of aircraft round towards the bombers. We chased. I was right, and they were all shot down in quick time, with no pickings for us. I must confess I was very disappointed, for I had never fired at a Hun in my life and was longing to have a crack at them. So we swung round again and started to climb up to 18,000 feet over Southampton to rejoin our squadron. The 4th shell struck the back of my left shoe. It shattered the heel of the shoe and made quite a mess of my left foot. But I didn't know anything about that either until later. I was just thinking of jumping out when suddenly a Messerschmitt 110 whizzed underneath me and got right in my gun sights. Fortunately, no damage had been done to my windscreens or sights, and when I was chasing the Junkers, I had switched everything on, so everything was set for a fight. By this time, it was pretty hot inside my machine from the burst petrol tank. I couldn't see much flame, but I reckon it was there all right. I remember looking once at my left hand, which was keeping the throttle open. It seemed to be in the fire itself, and I could see the skin peeling off, yet I had little pain. I started thinking about saving myself. I decided it was about time I left the aircraft and bailed out, so I immediately jumped up from my seat. But first of all, I hit my head against the framework of the hood, which was all that was left. I cursed myself for a fool, pulled the hood back. Wasn't I relieved when it slid back beautifully, and jumped up again. Once again, I bounced back into my seat, but I had forgotten to undo the straps holding me in. One of them snapped downwards, and after a few turns like that, I found myself diving headfirst to the ground. After a second or two of this, I decided to pull the ripcord. The result was that I immediately straightened up and began to float down. Then an aircraft, a Messerschmitt, decided to try my limbs just to see if they would work. Thank goodness they did. I still had my oxygen mask over my face, but my hands were in too bad a state to take it off. I tried to, but I couldn't manage it. I found, too, that I had lost one trouser leg, and the other was badly torn, and my tunic was just like a lot of torn rags, so I wasn't looking very smart. Then, after a bit more of this heat, I knew I didn't stand an earthly if I did, because I wouldn't have been able to swim a stroke with my hands like that. But I managed to float inland. Then I saw a high-tension cable below me and thought it would finish me if I hit that. Fortunately, I was traveling towards a nice open